So I don't know if you listened on Tuesday, but Kyle Anthony, the best UFC handicapper on the planet, wanted to see you and I in a cage match.
Welcome to Kyle Anthony's UFC Betting Show. I am Kyle Anthony, and welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the prediction show for UFC on ESPN Plus 40, Thiago Santos versus Teixeira. We've got 3 free plays that we're going to talk about on this card, coming off another profitable night last Saturday, 2-0 on client plays, as well as 2-0 on free plays. And I know I didn't have a video last week, but definitely got to follow me at Kyle Anthony UFC. Posted free plays up there as well, but clients were able to cash in as well. We did have the free play that was on Uriah Hall to win via knockout, plus 160. So all around a great night overall. Right now for clients, 83% return on investment, 69% winner this year. So really having a great year, and really like the interaction I've had with everybody, meeting a lot of great people along the way as we continue to make some money and make some profits. So we're going to have 3 free plays here, but I do have 3 plays up on Wagertalk, link down in the description. Take a look at it. I have a 4% play up. Right now, 4% plays are 78% winner. I am actually 25-7 on that play when I grade them at a 4%. And just if you played my 4% plays this year, you are up 53.36 units on the year. So really having a great year, as I said, and now we got to focus on the next event, which is Thiago Santos versus Teixeira. So we're going to get into that. 3 plays that I'm going to talk about today, free, and 2 are going to be on the main event. I'm going to pick a side as well as a prop, and then I'm going to have another one I'm going to quickly go over on a side that I like in another fight on the card. So what we're going to first talk about here is we're going to talk about the main event between Thiago Santos and Teixeira. So this is a fun fight here. I mean, this is one, you've got, a vet, you've got another guy who just fought a really tough fight in Thiago Santos against John Jones. A lot to talk about here, and as we do all the time, we're going to talk about the last 3 fights for each, quickly kind of go through them, see what we see if one side can expose the other side, and if it makes sense to place a wager. So, we're going to talk right now. We've got Thiago Santos is minus 220, roughly, of course. I know if you shop around, you get some better lines. Some are higher, some are lower, but roughly about minus 220. And then you've got Glover is plus 184. So, we're first going to talk about Thiago Santos here. And this is just an interesting fighter because so much he brings to the cage, his explosiveness, what he can do, the arsenal of weapons that he has, and what he's done over the last few fights. So, we're first going to talk about 3 fights ago, he fought Jimmy Manuwa. Now, this is a fight here where Jimmy Manuwa, I mean, he definitely has power. He's got a lot of power, but he's got that glass chin. And that's something that pretty much put him and shelved him because he took some brutal knockouts. I think it was 4 straight or whatever, have been, where he just couldn't really keep it together and keep himself together. But in this fight here against Santos, I mean, this was when everyone knew it was going to be a war. Both of these guys were going to go in there, look to fire. Defense was going to be at a minimum when it comes to this fight. But both guys came out with wild exchanges. And within that first 30 seconds, you did see Santos drop Manuwa twice. Hurt him, almost looked like the fight was going to be over because he just dropped them, came back up, dropped them again. And then it was a wild exchange where you actually had, Santos is the kind of guy that just really bulldozes forward. He's not scared to exchange. He's got the power. He's got those quick reactions on counter strikes. There's a lot of great things he does when you're standing and you're exchanging with him. And in this fight here, Manuwa was kind of, the perfect dance partner, pretty much. He's looking to fire back, not scared to stand and trade, although the chin was questionable, but he's not scared to trade. Manuwa ended up hurting Santos in one spot, kind of rocked him, but Santos kind of got it back together. And going into that second round was where Santos put the stamp on it, up against the fence. They had a pretty good exchange going right there, landed the big shot, folded and flatlined Manuwa, puts him out in the second round. Knockout victory for Santos in that fight. A little bit different, obviously, stylistically wise, from Manuwa to Glover. So you could definitely see the killer instinct of Santos, the wild exchanges that he's able to go through, the brawling yet very technical striker that he is. But you go out there and he goes there and gets that victory against Jimmy Manuwa. 2 fights ago, he fought the current champion, Jan Blachowicz. Now, I thought this was a very interesting fight, a fight that I definitely had to go back, take a look at, because you've got, Blachowicz is definitely on a nice run. He went out there, got some nice wins, just recently beating Dominic Reyes. Great fight for him. But in this fight here, this was a spot where, Blachowicz is well-rounded kind of guy, has power, has shown that he has power, but maybe a little bit more, he's not as fast, maybe I should say. He's not really as fast in those counter strikes, but has the power, well-rounded, uses all of his weapons. And in that first round, you saw both guys really kind of went at it. And it wasn't an exchange where, they were calculated. They both were firing, but both very calculated. It's something very different that you saw in this fight for Santos compared to when you saw Santos against Manuel, where it was just, redlining it, firing forward, not caring, basically not even having respect for the power that's on the other side. And this was a spot where he actually, was a little more calculated. It was a 5-round fight. Santos didn't want to go out there guns blazing, wanted to have, a little bit more patience, look for the openings. And Blachowicz, I think, on this side of it, was very calculated as well. Obviously knowing that Santos is always looking to fire, looking to have big shots. And the patience on both guys was definitely seen. But you definitely saw a little bit more push from Santos compared to Jan. And I think more Jan was expecting that big barrage, that big push forward. Where's the big push forward? When is that going to happen? And that first round didn't really happen. You did see a lot of leg kicks from Santos. I think that's a great weapon for a guy like him. I mean, obviously, leg kicks is a great weapon for anybody, great mixing it up. But how quick the mixing up of level-changing kicks that Santos has makes it very difficult for guys that when he starts looking to move his hips, is he going for the leg? He's got so much power in those kicks, or is he looking to go to the body? He's able to do quick spin kicks to the head. I mean, we've seen that in a couple other fights. So I pretty much think Blachowicz was almost not frozen, but wasn't really, wanted to really pick up the speed first. So that first round, I think, was really all going to Santos, pretty much dictating a little bit more. Second round, really a lot of targeting of the legs from Santos. So it was pretty much, pretty much from that first and second round, a lot of leg kicks, then mixing it up. And going into that third round, you still, you even heard, I think it was Joe Rogan that was there kind of saying, when is Jan gonna look to push? He can't keep letting, Santos kind of chip away. Very close rounds. I mean, it wasn't like it was a landslide by any means, but close rounds. But it looked like Santos, kind of was more pushing the pace a little bit more. And going into that third round, it pretty much was, Blachowicz looked to push forward, and I think this was exactly why Blachowicz kind of waited and wanted to be patient to almost allow himself to be the counter-striker compared to allowing Santos to be the counter-striker. And so when he went out there, Blachowicz looked to push early in that third round. It sounded like the corner kind of wanted a little more activity from him, and it took him really out. He kind of threw a wild, kind of lunging hook, and Santos just backed out, threw a beautiful counter hook, dropped him, and I think he hit him with about 75 head strikes before they called the fight. Some of them were blocked, but he just kind of went out there and hammer-fisted Blachowicz, putting him out, a TKO victory in the third round. But that just shows, I think, the mentality of fighters, that Blachowicz is definitely not scared of anybody. He's, you just saw what he did to Reyes. He is the champion. But you see that even in those particular situations where, Blachowicz didn't want to be the first to react, knowing how quick the counter-striking of Santos is. But overall, you see that he goes out there, gets the TKO victory over Blachowicz. And then most recently, he fought Jon Jones. Now, I'm going to try not to dive into this one too much. I did rewatch it again. A great fight and a very close fight. But this was a fight here where, the odds makers, this was a fight that I actually did take Santos because the odds were, was plus 380, plus 400 for Santos, and I just love the skill set of Santos. So, this was a spot here where can Jon Jones, outwork him? Jon Jones, obviously the rangy, the GOAT, all these great skill sets, but you saw in that first round of this fight, really how good he is. I mean, really how good he is, where he went out there, landed some leg kicks, and he did the same thing. And again, I think it's such a great technique for him just because of how quick he is, how much of an arsenal that he has, how many weapons he has. He uses, spinning back fists, spinning kicks, leg kicks, body strikes. He mixes it up so well, it's very tough to play defense. And when you leave your leg out there, and Jon Jones obviously has a little bit skinnier of legs than most in that division. He went there and he just started picking it apart right away. And that was something where you already saw, right out the gate, you saw how Jon Jones actually was, a little thrown off. He looked uncomfortable. You even heard, I think it was Paul Felder, doing the broadcast, even saying, we haven't seen anybody kind of do this to Jon Jones. You haven't really seen it. And that first round, I think, without a doubt, was Santos. You almost had a situation where again, it was almost John Jones. I have to work the leg kicks, I have to work these strikes, although Jones is massively creative, massively rangy, elite striker, but he was outstriking him in that first round. Now going into that second round is where the issue happened for Santos. You did see it was some kind of leg kick that he threw, and he twisted his knee. That was where he had the ACL, MCL tear. We all know about that at this point, but during that fight, people knew there was something wrong. I mean, he started, kind of limping around a little bit. It didn't really look too good, and Jones wasn't too sure. But going through this fight and rewatching it with the mindset of he has completely blown out his the ACL, MCL, his knee's gone, his leg is all mangled, and he still goes out there and he was winning a lot of these exchanges. And to win the first round and then to have a very close rest of the fight, where he kept pushing forward, he kept throwing. Even there were spots where Jones said, all right, I feel pretty good. I think it was maybe the third round where Jones you could pretty much tell it was very hard. I mean, I don't even know how Santos went out there in fights for 5 rounds or 4 more rounds with that issue, but it just shows the toughness of him. But it also shows that, Jones was still, hey, I'm going to move in now. This looks like the great time. He looks like he's slowing down. And then you would see Santos throw a wild combination, a powerful combination, and land some nice shots. So with one leg, he's able to go out there and still stay competitive with John Jones. It just speaks volumes of the skill set, of how good he is, and what could have happened if he was actually healthy for all 5 rounds. It's a fight. There's injuries like crazy. Things happen. Obviously with Jared Cannonier, a couple cards ago where, he breaks his arm and that was it. He was able to go out there and kind of finish the fight, but was just not the guy that he is. And this was the same situation here where Santos, just a massively powerful, explosive guy, and still couldn't really tap and harness that power. So going through this fight, Jones continued to push forward. He continued to land, and still the fact that he's hurt, like I was saying, it's just really, really impressive what he was able to do. But going through the fight, there were a lot of close rounds. Jones started really picking it apart later into the fight. Jones goes out there and wins the split decision, very close. But it just says a guy like Santos at 100%, or at least at 2 legs, should be able to do really great things in the cage. And you've seen what he did with the current champion Blachowicz, and seen what he's knocked out some other fighters in the past. The power, his creativity, striking says a lot. He goes out there, does lose against John Jones. This is his first fight back, and he goes out there and does lose against the current the champion at that time. On the other side, you've got Glover. Again, Glover is plus 184. 3 fights ago, he fought Ian Cutelaba, and Cutelaba, big, massive guy, lots of power, not the best gas tank, not really a technical guy, but really looks to go out there and fire big shots. And this was a spot early in that first round, Glover was in trouble. Glover took some big shots. Cutelaba really, went out there firing, went all in, went for broke, looking to get the finish. And very close to getting that finish. I mean, he had him in a great spot, a dominant spot. Glover is really a guy, a UFC vet. He's able to kind of scramble, find an opportunity to kind of wrap you up or clinch or grapple to kind of get himself back to, clear his head a little bit. And going into that second round, Cutelaba kind of was out of position. He was looking to throw big shots again, thought that he would just kind of land a big shot on Glover. And Glover goes in there, gets the takedown, gets him very easily. Once he got him on the ground, you see the difference where Glover just is massively more, skill set-wise, massively higher compared to Cutelaba. Goes out there, gets a submission victory in that second round, gets the win. Glover walks out as the winner. 2 fights ago, he fought Nikita Krylov, and this was a very interesting fight because it was a split decision win for Glover. I don't even know how somebody actually gave Krylov the 2 rounds out of this. But this was a spot here where again, you've got a guy, a striker in Krylov, also, more well-rounded, I should say, but he goes out there looking to exchange, and Glover's he's really good at getting in those clinches, getting those exchanges, and then he's got power. So, he doesn't really throw a lot of crazy shots. He doesn't really have this high arsenal of weapons that Santos has, but he's able to really utilize his experience. He's very smart in the cage. And you saw this here in this spot where, he makes it dirty. He goes in there, he gets it dirty, gets dirty boxing, looks to kind of soften you up a little bit, takes you down when he can. He's able to kind of just utilize tools mentally and also the power that he has striking to kind of slow his opponent down, let dictate the pace of the fight a little bit. And really going through this fight overall, I mean, it was a good fight. I don't know how it was a split decision for Glover. I thought it was a sweeping decision for him. But in this fight here overall, he goes out there. He pretty much, he rocked Krylov a couple times. Really had a nice spot where he had him up against the cage. He almost had a finish at one spot. So really some good spots from overall here. But in this fight, he goes out there, gets a split decision victory over Nikita Krylov. And then most recently, he fought Anthony Smith. This was a fight here where, Smith went for broke. I mean, this was a spot where, Smith, even the actual, his coaches were kind of keep pushing the volume out. I mean, Smith had an obscenely high volume of strikes in that first round, in that second round, and even there was, situations where Glover looked hurt. Smith was looking to really, lay it on him. And then it just went completely downhill from there. Smith was exhausted. Smith had nothing. The toughness of him kept him in that fight. Glover took him down. There was a couple spots I would say probably should have been stopped a round or two prior to when it was stopped. But, Glover really showed again that, the intelligent level that he has, very high, his toughness, very high, and he's able to utilize, he's in his 40s now, but he still has the cardio, the skill set, the grappling to really keep going and keep getting wins. So he goes out there, beats Anthony Smith. So with that all being said, we take a look at what we like here. And obviously we know, explosiveness of Santos. I mean, he is highly explosive, high-level kickboxing overall. His fast counter-striking ability, I think, plays a big part in this fight. And it's not that Glover is a very slow fighter, should I say, really, but I think there's openings that are going to be appearing for Santos. If he's very patient, I think that's going to open up spots. And then the other side, you've got Glover, where Glover is well-rounded, strong in the clinch, and, he's always hunting for submissions. I mean, he's the kind of guy where wherever he is, whether he's standing, I mean, I think even against Krylov in that third round, he kind of, he pulled guard and almost thought that he could, pull off the guillotine. He's dangerous anywhere because he's always looking for a limb, always looking for those opportunities. Now, I think the problem really comes around is that it's a smaller cage. Now, you always got to add that into capping in some aspect, depending on the type of fights happening, the matchups, the styles. I think a lot of that matters. I mean, one of the client plays was Bryce Mitchell against Andre Feely, and I think the small cage really, really helped Bryce Mitchell. And that was a client play cash, but it was also the fact that I love that it was a smaller cage. I think somebody like Feely would really utilize the range a lot more, be able to utilize his footwork. He's very quick and he's light-footed, and a bigger cage would definitely help him against Bryce Mitchell. Smaller cage, I really feel that helped him here. In this situation here, I don't really feel it that much because I think that Santos has really good takedown defense. I think he's strong, and he's also able to fire off really hard shots. That he can kind of fend off those takedowns by firing off shots. And that's where I think the difference is going to be here. I think the level changing is going to be the make or break spot in this fight for him. But what he did against John Jones, I think just speaks volumes. I think it happened a long time ago. I think that's where you're kind of looking at it and saying, hey, it happened for a while. Is he going to be okay? That's obviously going to be a part here. I'm going into this as Santos is going to be fine. The knee is okay, his leg is okay, everything's good. Judging from everything that I've read, you can take that with a grain of salt, but what I've read is that he's good, he's in great shape. They're not showing anything. Of course, they're not going to say much if he was hurt, but from all accounts, it sounds like things are good. But I think the key, again, is going to be the counter-striking ability of Santos, and I think he's going to lay it on him. Now, I like Santos to go out there and get this victory. It's minus 220. I think it's a fine line for me. I'm okay paying up on this here. I think he goes out there and really gets the job done. But where I like it also here is a method of victory, and I'm going to be going method of victory, Thiago Santos to win via knockout. It's ranging from a plus 120 to a plus 130. Seeing it in that range overall, I like that price there. Over 5 rounds, you've got even him by decision is plus 340. I think if this goes 5 rounds, I think that means that Glover went out there, grappled the heck out of him, got on top, got good positioning, and was able to really dictate the pace of the fight on the ground and just in the clinches. But if it's shorter than that, I really believe that Santos can go out there and get that knockout. And again, he's strong, he is a durable guy, and he's able to land those big counter shots. And I think that's what he's going to be able to do against Glover. When Glover's looking to cut that distance off, I think that's the spot where you're going to see Santos land a lot of big hooks. He's going to start with that leg, slow down Glover, and I think that's where the ball is really going to start rolling for Santos, and he's going to go out there and get that knockout. So on the main event, I'm going to be taking Thiago Santos to win, as well as Thiago Santos via knockout. Like again, plus 120, plus 130, I'm kind of seeing in that range. Those are the two plays there. The other play that I'm going to talk about, and I'm pretty much just going to kind of run this one down really quickly, is Brandon Allen versus Ian Heinisch. It's about a pick'em right now, and you know there's a lot to like about Brandon Allen. I mean, there's definitely a lot to like about him. You know, he's got grappling. He has shown that you know, he is deadly when it comes to that. If you can get a limb, if you can get on top of you, he's very vicious when it comes that way. And you've got Heinisch, who, you know, tough guy, you know, well-rounded. He's got, you know, ability to wrestle. And when you go look at kind of what they did, and I think the big thing is really going back and taking a look at Brandon Allen. And you know, again, great grappler. He's talented. He's kind of making this rise in the UFC. But I think the big part here is, you know, 2 fights ago, you know, he fought, you know, Tom Breeze. Tom Breeze was out of the UFC for about 2 years, or hadn't fought in about 2 years. He goes up there and gets a TKO finish in the first round. Not the most impressive win against him overall, just because he's been out. And then even against Kyle Dacus, this was a spot where, you know, Dacus goes in very short notice, is a grappler, but you know, this should have been a spot where it should have been an absolute landslide, in my opinion, for Allen in this spot, a short notice, not a full camp for a guy like Dacus that, you know, again, has grappling ability, but this was a spot he really should have shined. It was a very close fight. I mean, there were spots in there that Allen could have lost. I mean, sloppy, losing positioning a lot. You know, a lot of times he was on top in a very dominant position. Dacus gets out. Now, you give him credit, obviously, for getting out of those positions, but also that's his wheelhouse. Some of these spots I think he should have really capitalized on. And then the other side, you've got Heinisch, who, you know, coming off a nice knockout win over Gerard Machart. And then you've got, you know, he trains at Factory X at the high altitude in Colorado. I think that helps his cardio. You've seen Allen have a little bit of issues with that. And the great balance wrestling of Heinisch, the way that he's able to counter wrestle and scramble out. I mean, some of these guys have kept him down, and they've been some, you know, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belts that have kept him down. And he's able to even scramble out of some of those situations. He's tough to take down. He's got good striking. If this fight stands, I think that is where this fight will really happen. I think there's gonna be a lot of exchanges in tight, up against the cage, where Allen's trying to, you know, maneuver himself, trying to get the takedown. And I think that's where you're going to see Heinisch have success. He's going to be able to really break free, kind of find an opportunity to, you know, create space, and then go back to striking. If Allen sits there and looks to just get the takedowns and can't, and this fight stands, Heinisch is going to, you know, really work him. I think he's going to land some big shots, cause a lot of damage standing, and if he keeps kind of lunging in for those takedowns, I don't think Allen is comfortable enough really standing and exchanging. I think that's where this fight's going to be. I think it's going to be a try to take him down, Allen, Heinisch breaks, they exchange striking, and that's where Heinisch continues to have success over 3 rounds or finds a way to get the finish. So I like Heinisch here. It's a pick 'em at this point, but I do like that side here. I think there's a lot to like about him. And again, Allen has struggled. You've seen him with certain takedowns where, you know, it's not as clean, and the guys that he's beat have not been the caliber of guys. Heinisch has lost to a couple, you know, has definitely faced higher level caliber guys, but guys that have definitely been really good wrestlers or takedown ability, those are the guys that he's kind of struggled with, but then was able to even find opportunities to create space, land some big shots. So I think in this spot here, it's a pick 'em. I'm going to take Heinisch as my other free play for this Saturday night. So there you go. Those are my 3 free plays for UFC on ESPN Plus 40. And if you're interested, Wagertalk, take a look. Link down in the description. I've got 3 plays up for purchase for clients. If you're interested, also definitely subscribe, like, comment. Always appreciate everybody who's supporting this channel, supporting me on Twitter as well, as we continue to cash, make money. And that's what it's all about. And remember, we are all on the same team, looking to beat those bookies. Knock out your bookie season continues this Saturday night. Take a look. And that's the show. We will see you next time. This is Kyle Anthony's UFC Betting Show, and I'll see you next time.